Hello, what's going on everyone, and welcome to another video. And we're going to be taking a look at loops in this one. And loops will actually use in Python to actually iterate over some items. Okay, sometimes it could be a list, sometimes it could be something like dictionary and the likes of that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do right now is just go ahead and then create something like a list. Okay, and let me just put a comment right here. So I'm going to just say something like, let's say this is going to be list. And to create a list, what I'm going to do right now is to create a variable down here, and let's basically call this something like school materials. Okay, so let's call this school underscore materials, and we can actually go ahead and set them to square bracket this way, and then within this bracket we can now begin to list the items that we want to have inside of that place. Okay, this is basically what I'm creating right now is a list. So let's say we have books, let's introduce a comma, and let's say we have pencils, and let's introduce a comma, and let's say we also have something like, let's say we have something like let's say bags, like that. Okay, so basically this is just a list the way that it is right now. Okay, but then we can actually find our ways around looping through all of the things that we have in here. For instance, if you want to like print out this materials the way that it is right now, you can actually do it down there. Okay, so a list is just a collection of items that you can actually change them. Okay, you can modify them if you want to. And let's say for instance, if we do something like print right here to the clipboard, let's say we're going to copy this and then paste it in here. Okay, we can actually run this, and then we're going to see that it's going to print out the list that we have in here. However, what we basically want to do is to go ahead and then look through them. But first of all, let's try to run this right now. So I'm going to just right click on here, and let's say something like run loop, and you see that it prints out the list item down here. Okay, which is basically not what we want to do. Okay, but I just wanted to show you that so that you know that you can actually print everything that is in that place. Okay, so what I want to do right now is that I want to loop through all of these materials that are actually here, and then maybe print them one by one. All right, so to now look through these things that we have in here right now, remember what we just did right here is just not really what we wanted to actually do. So I have that commented out right now, and what we're basically going to do is to go ahead and then take a look at loop. Okay, so we basically have two types of loops. Okay, so I'm going to just do loops right here and add a colon, and then I want you to understand that we basically have two types of loops, which the first one is actually called a for loops. So I'm going to just do for loops right here. Down here we also have another one that is actually called a while loop. Okay, so we want to make sure that we put this in a comment, guys. So I'm going to do right here, we'll just put this sign, and also on this line I'm going to also put this particular thing in there. Okay, so that's just basically what that two lines are, and the one we want to take a look at right now is basically this particular one that is actually called a for loops. So to do that, I want to copy that and put that on a separate line down here, and let's just do that. Okay, so remember we want to loop through this particular list that we basically kind of have it here. So to make use of for loops, we can actually do we could say something like for school material. I'm not going to do materials right now in school materials. Okay, so remember what I just did right here. For school material, in school material, you cannot alternatively do something like for material in school materials. Okay, if I take this away and just do for material in school materials, so when I get down here, I'm going to go ahead and then do whatever that I want to do. Okay, but I just basically want to leave that as school material, and there is no else right here. Okay, in school material. So what do you want to do? I want to basically print out what is in that particular list in there, and to do that I'm going to use print command, and we can go ahead and just do when it's basically just copy this variable right here, and I put that into this particular bracket to save the changes, and then we can actually right click on this and then take a look at that. Okay, so if we run this right now, oh, we got an error. Okay, yeah, we got an error right here. We need a column right here, so we need to introduce a column in here. So let's save this, and then if we run that again, we see that we now a kind of a printout and those things that we have. So we have books, we have pencils, and then we have bags. Okay, so that's just basically how to loop through a list of an item like this. Remember that I said that a list is just a collection of items that are actually arranged, but you can still make them, you can actually change them. Okay, so they are changeable. A group of items that can actually be arranged, but at the same time you can also change them. Okay, that's just what a list is. All right, so remember, just from my definition of what list is, I told you guys that list can actually be ordered. Okay, so if you take a look into this place right now, we have three items, and this first one that we have in here can be in position 0, this one is in position 1, and this one is also in position 2. Okay, so the numbering is actually like that of the arrays. Okay, so it's 0 based, and if you want us to prove that, we can actually do that. If we get to, let's say, I'm gonna just basically comment these lines out. I may not need them, but I'm just gonna leave it right here for you guys in case you are gonna make use of it for just for reference purposes. Okay, but what I mean by the fact that these things are actually numbered is really very simple. So if I do print, and within this print bracket right now, if I go ahead and then just do something like print, it was actually called a school materials right there, right? And if I put square brackets in here and then put something like 0 within this particular place and save the changes, and if you see, if I'm going, by the time I run this right now, you're going to see that it's going to actually print out books, which is the first item in that particular place right now. So if you check the school materials variable right here, you see that the item actually kind of contains, the list actually contains 3 items, and the one that is in position 0 right now is actually this particular one that we'll have in here. Okay, so we can basically save the changes and then right click on that, and let's say we run loops, and you notice that if you take a look down here, you see that we'll have books right here. Okay, you can also do the same thing for the rest. Let's say I'm going to copy this, paste that, and then change this to 1, paste that, and then change this one to 2 right there. Okay, so we'll save the changes, and then we'll right click on that, and then click on run loops. You see how it's actually printing those things out there. Okay, so line by line. All right, so that's just basically what that is. So what I'm going to do right now is to also, I'm going to just comment this out, and also comment this out, and then comment the last one that we have in there out. Okay, all right, so that is just that. And then next thing I mentioned the next thing I mentioned was the fact that a list can actually be changed. Okay, so if we want to change the list that we have in here, let's say we want to change pencil from here, we want to change it to something like, let's say it now becomes something like markers. Okay, we can actually do that. If we want to do that, it's really very simple. All you need to do is, I'm going to just basically copy the variable name right here, which is school materials right here, and then on the next line in here, if I paste that, I want to introduce my square brackets right here, and let's say that this one is actually in position 1. Okay, so if I do 1 right here and then go ahead and then set that to be equal to, let's say this now becomes something like markers. Okay, so let's just call this markers, and the marker is actually a writing material. I don't know what you guys actually call it where you are, but it's just a writing material. Okay, so if we save the changes right now, and of course we need to like print this out. Okay, if you want to print this out to the screen, you can actually do that. So I want to copy this. I don't know if I have something of that nature down there, but let me just copy this to the clipboard, and then if we get down, I want to basically print that out right here. Okay, so if I do print and I put that into bracket and then go ahead and paste what I just copied into the clipboard and save the changes, you're going to notice that if I try to print this out right now, we're going to have markers as a result. Okay, so let's click on run, and if you take a look in here, you see now we now have run. Okay, so position 1 is now what occupies the position 1 right now is marker. Okay, that's just basically what we did up here at the top of this place. So this is how to modify a list. So let's put a comment here and just say modify a list item, something like that. Okay, so and I know that if we are not basically supposed to look at all of these things that we're looking at right now, all we majorly want to do is to actually take a look at loops. Okay, so we could take a look at lists as a topic at a later time. Okay, so with that being done, I think I have to jump some other things that we can actually do right here, because there's even a way to also delete an item. If you want to delete this from the items we have here, we can also do that. It's possible. Okay, but I will leave those ones for the, maybe in the future we're going to work on something like a list as a topic. Okay, so that's just what that is right now. So the next thing I want us to take a look at is for us to jump into for loop. Okay, want to take a not for loop but while loop. All right, so to do that, what I want to do right now is I want to put a comment in here, and then also I just basically want to comment all of these things out right here, and also comment this line out, and now we want to deal with that of the while loop right now. Okay, so to deal with that, I want to start that down here, and let's put a comment in here and just call this while loop. Okay, so whatever that we're going to be doing down here is actually going to be specifically meant for that of the while loop. So if I click run right here, see that we have nothing in here. Okay, so that means that I've actually commented every code that I have in here out. All right, so to experiment with the loop right now, what I want to do, I want to create a variable right here. This is going to be num is equal to 1 right there. And I'm going to just use my while loop right here. I'm going to just say y num is, let's say this is going to be less than or equal to, let's say that number 6. And we can throw out in our colon right here. And we can actually do something like print. And we basically want to print out our num right here. Okay, so this is going to be num. And then save the changes. Let's see. Okay, so I want to run this. Okay, that's actually going to run to infinity. Okay, you see that it's actually running to infinity. But if you want to basically stop that and then specify the number to actually stop at a certain place, you can actually do that down here. So what I basically want to do right now is to get in right here and just say this is going to be, so this is going to be num, and we're going to just do plus or equal to 1 right there. Okay, so let's save the changes and then let's click on run again. So I'm going to just, first of all, we need to pause this, I believe, stop running first of all, and let's right click on it and then run again. Okay, and you see that it runs just once and then it stops. You see how it is actually bringing out the numbers. So y num is actually less than or equal to 6, prints out the numbers from 1 to 6 right there, and then it stops. Okay, so that's just basically how you can actually use while loop on this environment. Okay, and I hope that you guys kind of understand my explanation on all these things. Okay, so that's just basically how to use while loop and out of the for loop. Okay, so maybe in the next one we're going to take it further to the next one is about a continue and then break statement from Python. Okay, and then in the future we could take a look at things like list and also dictionaries and some other things in the future. Okay, thanks for watching. If you like the video, don't forget to give the video a like, and if you're not subscribed to the channel yet or following us on our social media handles, this is actually the right time for you to do that. Thanks for watching, and then I will see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.